Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Legionary from Black Ink branded and designer Jody Eklund. Now, Jody is one of the most established and talented designers in playing cards, with a long line of decks dating all the way back to 2014 with his first design, the hipster deck. And over the years, he's explored some incredibly diverse themes, ranging from World War II to the early US railroads to the pirates of the seven seas. But for this one, he turns the clock all the way back to the Roman Empire to explore the world of Roman gladiators and soldiers. Legionary features the story of a Roman citizen who was conscripted into the army as a legionnaire, only to eventually find his way to the Colosseum, where he's forced to fight for his freedom in front of the emperor and his subjects. It's a truly legendary theme, and one which has surprisingly few decks out there. Now for this review, I have a look at the Arena set. It's the 2-deck box set that contains two different versions of the deck, Dawn and Day. Let's check it out. All right, so starting with the outer box, it's a nice sturdy matte cardboard construction with simple bronze foil. And the design, especially here, the emblem in the center, almost looks modern military vibe to it. It's got the eagle clutching the classic Roman gladius there in the center. And then across the top here, you have Audaces Fortuna Juvat, which I believe is meant to be the famed Roman proverb, which translates to fortune favors the bold. I will say this one actually says Iuvag, which is youth, instead of Iuvat. So not sure if that's just a typo or if it's just meant to be a different saying, but I take it to be fortune favors the bold. But beautiful design work, fairly clean all the way around, not too much else other than on the sides here, you have the name of the deck, Legionary, and then on the back, just some very small ad copy there. But otherwise, a very simple, clean box overall. It's held closed with a really nice, sturdy magnetic enclosure, so you can open up to reveal the decks inside. Now first, before we get to the decks though, let's check out this beautiful metal card here in the center. This thing is a beast. It's a heavy chunk of metal. You can see just how thick it is. It has an antique bronze finish, and it features a relief version of some of the artwork from the deck. The front here features who I assume is the deck's hero, clad in some sparse Roman Empire and dual wielding a pair of gladiuses to his side there. Fantastic detail and depth in the sculpted surface. You can see just how thick that design is. Great texture and feel to it overall. And once again, you can see fortune favors the bold written there at the bottom. And then flipping to the other side, you get the name of the deck, Legionary, along with, once again, another look at that eagle emblem that we saw before. All in all of this is kind of in this really ornate frame. It's a really impactful piece and a great way to tie together the two decks in the set. But that said, on to the decks. Now, each one of the decks has a little ribbon here that lets you pull them out nice and easily, so you can get at the two decks and get the two different versions here. So the more standard one here on the left, this is the Dawn version in that deep black with the bronze foil on it. And then this one is the slightly more ornate Day version. This one done in all bronze foil with the blue accents. Both would look fantastic, and I love that you get different artwork on the two decks. Now, of course, we're gonna get to both versions, but let's start off with the more standard Dawn version of the deck. I'll put the rest of them off to the side here. All right, so here it is. So the tuck is covered entirely with black embossed foil. You can see the entire surface is that shiny finish. You can see just little accents here where that matte black cardstock comes through, but most of it done in that shiny finish, and then accents on the silver frame here with the second color of foil. And the design here in the center is achieved almost entirely with that embossing. Really beautifully done. Again, another feature of that eagle. We're going to see that as sort of the symbol of the deck appearing all over the place. The gladius clutched in its talons. And then that nice little scroll work pattern all the way around the edges with the name of the deck, Legionary, and exquisite playing cards. Really love the look to it. Turning to the sides here, a little bit hard to see, but has illustrated by Jody Eklund. And on the other side, exquisite playing cards. Bottom has your ad copy for Jody, Black Ink branded, and Legends who printed the deck. And then on the top here, it says Legionary in that silver frame. And then the back has another little panel here, so not the back design of the cards or anything, but you get, once again, Audaces Fortuna Juvat and Legionary exquisite playing cards. And then has actually the website of Black Ink branded, which that had been kind of left for the bottom of the typical ad copy, but cool look to it overall. So really unique look with that deep black color, just such a dark black they were able to achieve. you open it up, just a small little emblem there, and then the English translation of that Latin phrase we've seen a few times, fortune favors the bold. And then 2 more little symbols here on the inner flaps and nothing printed on the interior of the tuck. So there is the tuck for the Dawn version of the deck. Really, really nice. Let's get onto the cards, and we'll start with the back design. Here it is. So it's done on kind of a gray, a slate gray color background here on the stock. Really cool look to it. And then this great 3D effect that's achieved with this sort of intaglio style design for the back. That eagle once again makes the appearance as the main element on the back design, featured mirrored on the 2 sides of the deck. And you get the circular element and then all these like sort of scattered leaves all the way around, finishing out with the thin slate gray poker border. Really cool look to it. I love the little breaks in the border just to give it a little bit of extra interest, and just the depth he's able to achieve with all the shading and the shadows that go into this one. Really, really cool back design. And then we turn to the cards themselves. And just like the back, they're done with that gray color as the primary background. And kick it off with the Jokers. So the Jokers are done in a diptych style and showcase one of the more intriguing gladiator types, the Esidarius. These warriors were ones who fought on chariots, throwing spears usually. So you can see this one holding a long spear. Many of them actually had separate drivers, so they would have a slave who was made to just drive them around so they could focus on combat, but this particular one choosing to fight solo instead. And another difference on this one versus the classic gladiators, usually the gladiators wore much simpler armor, armor that was intended to kind of keep them free for the battle, but this one is wearing pretty much full Roman soldier regalia, right down to the classic plumed helmet. So kind of a little bit of artistic license on this one. But one of the things I love on this one, I love the effect of both halves of the image sort of breaking out of the frame, almost like it was a picture that was drawn into a painting of some sort, but it's come to life and almost bursting out of the frame. I think it kind of gives a really cool 3D effect to the whole thing. So now the one thing I will say is, particularly with that darker background, a little bit of the detail kind of gets a little bit lost in this version, but that does not detract anything from the artwork itself, which has, I think, a fantastic art style. Almost kind of a gritty comic book style to me. Anyway, there's your 2 Jokers. You get the 4 aces in the deck, the ace of spades being, of course, the power ace, and once again, built around our eagle friend there, the gladius held at the ready, and then Fortuna Audacis Iovat written across the banner at the bottom. You get the black ink branded, and then the classic spade pip with that sort of shadowy shading there, kind of giving it a little bit of extra depth. Really cool look to it. And then a lighter gray that's used for the stylized pip and index there in the corner, so the gray on gray. The other 3 aces, a little bit plainer, but they do feature really nice frame background. So each of them has that ornate frame and then this kind of a weathered looking background as the backdrop for the pips themselves. So you get the classic red and black pips, but then the color of the frame and background changes as you go from red to black as well. So you get red against that silver background, and then the black against the, I guess I'll call it bronze background. But beautiful look to the frames on those 4 aces. All right, now to the number cards. So the number cards feature the same similar design that we saw in those last 3 aces. They just have the pips here in the middle of that weathered frame, that almost gothic looking font that's used for the index in the corner. So you get the bronze background as you go through the spades, and then when you get to the red cards, switches of course the style of the pips, but now done against a silver background with the red ink on there. Red definitely pops out a little bit better to me, but both of them I think really look great. And despite the fact that I said this is a little bit more of a gothic font, everything I think still kind of fits in with the theme of the deck overall. So there's your clubs, and then into your hearts. So nice job on the number cards. Love getting fully custom pips as well all the way through that. And then we get to the courts, and the courts feature an entire cast of the various gladiators who are battling for their freedom in the arena. And just like the Joker, these feature that comic book style that to me, very reminiscent of Frank Miller's classic 300 graphic novel. Great read, by the way. Now, unfortunately, I think there's a little bit of a missed opportunity in not taking the time to depict some of the more actual, the actual types of gladiators who fought in ancient Rome. These are actually several. There are actually several very particular classes of gladiators. Like you had the Hopalocus, who fought with a round shield, spear, and sword, or there was the Retiarus, who had a unique style incorporating a fishnet and trident. Jody, though, instead chose to go with a more generic and simplified view of gladiators. And the characters do tend to incorporate bits of the classic armor, the plumed helmet, the round shield, or these guarded face masks on their helmets. So definitely have some elements of the classic gladiators, but took the artistic license to make them more inspired by the classic gladiators rather than actual depictions. So for me, not a detraction from the fantastic artwork, but it does remove some from the theme in my view. That said, beautiful pictures on these, almost a sepia tone to them, little hits of red in there to give you a slight accent, all of them done as one-way quartz, and they feature a beautiful sort of three-quarter depiction of the different gladiators. Each one kind of a different armor, different weapon set that they're using, and all just really unique looks to them. Jack of Diamonds, by the way, that's the same one that we saw on the metal card, but similar color scheme, but this time against a silver background for the diamonds. I love the inclusion of female gladiators in this one as the queens as well. So female gladiators definitely not common in ancient Rome, but they were present, so you would occasionally see some female gladiators. That said, one key difference, female gladiators actually apparently in ancient Rome always fought topless. So not carried forward to this deck. That would have been a very different type of review, but still a really cool look to it. Love this one, that tower shield with that curved shield. Really classic Roman soldier look to that one. And then here's your hearts. So great look, great artwork and style on the court cards overall. And as far as handling on this particular deck, nice, fairly thin stock. It does feel really nice. Handles quite well. Like I said before, these come from Legends, so it's going to feel a little bit different if you're used to like a classic Cardamundi or a bicycle stock, but still a really nice handle to them and very thin look to it. But that is just one version of the deck and what I would call the more standard version with the Dawn version. But let's take a look at the Day version. Now, you will see a lot of similar artwork on the cards themselves, but the tuck is done entirely differently. This one's covered in bronze foil. It's actually a black cardstock. You can just barely see a little bit of that black peeking through, but the bronze foil absolutely takes over, accents of that bright blue, and it's a fantastic color combination. The center here featuring that Roman helmet with the huge cheek guards there, and then Legionary exquisite playing cards, Day edition there at the bottom. Design here in the middle almost made to look like a sun with that beautiful deep embossing in the bronze. Sides, once again, illustrated by Jody Eklund, exquisite playing cards, ad copy on the bottom, and Legionary at the top. And then the back features a panel that's very similar to the one that we saw on the Dawn version of the deck, but this time featuring the helmet there in the middle instead of the eagle. But great look to the Day tuck. This one I like even better. Once again, fortune favors the bold on the inner flap, and then you can see the black stock that's used for the actual tuck there. And some key differences as we get to the cards as well. So it is going to feature a lot of the same artwork. You can see the eagles once again make an appearance, but very notably, this one's done in full foil. So the entire design is foil. Now this is what's called foil with overprinting, which is a technique that Legends use fairly frequently. Basically what they do is they cover the entire card with silver foil, and then the darker colors that you see here are actually ink printed on top of the foil, which gives you the effect of the entire card glowing. So it's not just the foiled parts that glow, but everywhere, even where there's ink, it absolutely glows. It's a great finish and look to it, but definitely means the foiled parts, or the parts where the foil is fully exposed, doesn't quite shine through as brightly as like with a cold foil, but still a very cool effect to this one. So that silver and that kind of bluish look really look great on this one, giving it an entirely different feel. And the cards themselves, the faces of the cards are also full foiled, but in this case, the ink's applied really heavily, so it looks more like an accented foil as opposed to the full foil that it actually is. So you get the foil showing through here on the corner indices, as well as in the background of the frame, which is all done now in silver as well. Same artwork as we go through the diptych Joker. You see a lot of foil showing through on the eagle for the ace there. And then all of the number cards, the center frame as well as the pip and index, all done in brilliant shiny foil. Now there is a slight overprinting to give you a little bit of a difference between the black cards and the red cards, but it's super subtle. And managed again with that overprinting to get a little bit of a feel of that shadowy corner to the frames as well, which is nice. That said, the shadowy bit here is actually identical as you go from card to card. So wish there had been a little bit more randomization, but still pretty nice. And then the flipping forward to the court cards, same artwork, but this time the character is framed against that foiled background. So a lot of similarities. This one, same artwork, but given a really luxury feel. So if you're a fan of foil, you're gonna like this one. Now, one drawback I will give to the deck is it's a good bit thicker. I think it's a function of the process for that full foiling. Because they have to apply that foil layer, it means the card's much thicker, much stiffer. They still fan really nicely, no complaints on that side. That wasn't always the case with some of the older versions of Legends decks that they did with this process. So the fanning nice, but it is still a very stiff feel to it, much harder to shuffle and use in that frame. But all in all, not a bad second deck. I think these turned out fantastic. Great theme and a great look, and I love that there's two completely different feeling versions of the deck. So that's it. That is the look at Legionary from Black Ink Branded and Jody Eklund. Another fantastic deck and a great theme. Definitely a few missed opportunities, the thickness, chunkiness of the day version of the deck, and maybe not doing some of the actual depictions of the gladiator types. I think both things would have improved the deck a little bit, but overall, no significant complaints. I think Jody did a great job on this deck overall. But hope you enjoyed this one, and make sure to check out Jody's website if you want maybe a chance to pick up one of these decks for yourself in the future. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.